टोटल स्टूडेंट सब मिला के 1 0
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our International e-conference. Dear delegates, I would like to request you all to mute your microphone and control background noises, no distractions, no multitasking, and position your camera well. Thank you. To seek God's blessing at the start of the event, may I ask you to take a moment of silence. God, eternal truth, we believe in you. God, our strength, we hope in you. God, infinite goodness, we trust in you. Be among us in our sharings, discussions, and learning. Amen. Growth is never by mere chance. It is a result of forces working together. Well said by James Cash Penny. In its silver years of celebrating learning, development, and accomplishment, HSINE, Holy Spirit Institute of Nursing Education, stands out and shines brightly. Between the year 1997 and 2022, there has been an incredible growth journey that transformed lives of many people. As a beneficiary of this great institution, we value the strong-mindedness and clear-sighted missionary sisters for their love for mission of education and learning. I, Ms. Priya V., lecturer, on the behalf of Principal Dr. Sister Lalita Rasali and entire HSINE family, extend my warm welcome to the distinguished speakers and dear delegates. As we start our form of learning, I would like to quote, "Unity is strength, and when there is a teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved." The captain of Holy Spirit Hospital, Sister Lissy Devasi, Executive Director, is the epitome of teamwork and collaboration. May I request Sister Lizzie for the inauguration address.
Morning, everyone. I like to start by extending my heartfelt greetings to all the eminent speakers and the participants of the worldwide conference being held in Mumbai, India, by Holy Spirit Institute of Nursing Education. It is commendable that HSINE is working to unite members from many countries, many domains. This conference provides an opportunity to talk about shared concerns and interests on the selected subject. The theme of this virtual conference, Digitech Nurse on Board, Eustress or Distress, is quite significant and pertinent in the present day situation. Such initiatives have a huge potential to generate ideas and concepts that can create a force for excellence and quality in the healthcare system. Similarly, global healthcare strives to integrate technology into delivering care and support nurses to work in a comfortable work environment. It gives me great pleasure to thank the conference committee and very specially Sister Lalita Rasali, the principal, for all their initiatives. I genuinely hope that you will realize the need for digital understanding and the coping energy taking part in the e-conference, and there is no doubt that it will generate beneficial and attainable ideas. I send my best wishes to the success of the conference. as HSIND celebrate the silver year of their existence. May God bless them with many more years to continually improve the standard of education and the quality of service. May God bless you all.
Thank you, sister, for that amazing words. The application of digital technologies has changed healthcare, and it is expected that this change will continue for some time to come. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, blockchain, wearable technologies, and many other development will change the way healthcare is provided in the future. And as long as the business that support healthcare and its employees remain open-minded and establish the required infrastructure and systems, there is no limit to how far digital technology may progress healthcare. Innovation, technology, and digital work in healthcare are a boon to its progress. To kick off the conference, I would like to invite Dr. Sister Lalita Rosali, Principal of HSINE, to do the honor.
Dear Sister Lizzie, executives, esteemed speakers, and delegates from across the globe who are joining us virtually, good morning and good afternoon to some. And welcome again to the Holy Spirit Institute of Nursing Education, Holy Spirit Hospital, Mumbai. I would like to acknowledge the presence of each speaker, a few of whom are my own professors, for participating in this event. The caliber and the quality of the speakers today is exceptional. I vouch you a fantastic hours of mastery. A word of appreciation to you, dear delegates, who opted to attend this event, and to our organizing committee for planning today's event. I'm really happy that the Digitech Nurse on Board, Eustress or Distress, is the title of today's virtual conference. Because the development of an understanding of how, where, and why technology need to be used to support practice is required by development of competency standards in both healthcare sciences and in nursing informatics education. A field that is enhanced and broadened by digital technology requires more support on the forefront. Nurses' attempts to learn must continue to be supported by the profession itself. By the time the present generation of nurses reach their mid-career, there will certainly be significant change brought about by digital technology. Nursing will continue to offer value and importance to healthcare systems in the coming decades. The advancement of nursing as a digitally enabled profession will maximize nursing education, nursing practice, nursing research, and nursing administration. Adopting digital practice is essential, but integrating it into the system is a challenge, for which the profession needs cultural change to do it. This forum, I'm sure, will be the one such learning opportunity for acceptance and change. Every nursing student or a nurse has the right to be informed, as well as have the right to choose the mode of delivering care. First and foremost, let us have the willpower to learn, to adopt, and to render service. In that sense, I would like to end here. Thank you so much for your patient attention, and I wish God's blessings through this day. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. One thing is certain, technology has become the bread and butter of the delivery care menu. Using this predefined menu card, let's start this learning form with enthusiasm in our hearts, and grin on our faces. The first session today is on the sub-theme, Digital Transformation in Healthcare, a Systematic Framework. To know more about this, we have among us an eminent personality as our first speaker for the session, Dr. Posha Zuleta Viduk. She has over 25 years of expertise in relevant discipline of education, training, research, and human institution development as a nurse and development administration practitioner. Her academic background includes nursing, master's in management, and a doctorate in philosophy from Philippines. She rose to become a scholar and a goodwill ambassador for the Japanese government. She earned a doctorate in epidemiology from the Georgia Atlanta Center for Disease Control. She currently serves as the executive director and chief operating officer for the Xavier School Batch 83 Foundation. Furthermore, she is currently the founding president of Philippine Nurses Environmental Organization and chairperson of the Committee on Advanced Practice Nursing, Philippine Nurses Association. She is also an associate professor at St. Paul's University, Manila, and was involved in developing transcultural nursing program in Catholic University, South Korea. Dr. Posha is passionate about creating innovations in nursing practice through integration of new knowledge and information. She also sits on the panel of the National League of Philippine Government Nurses to drive discussions on the challenges of changing climate and environment to health system and practice. Your presence today here, madam, is like a feather in cap moment for us. Handing over the session to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Sister Lizzie, executive, Sister Lalita, way back, she's one of the brightest students here at St. Paul University, Manila. Thank you for the invitation. The organizers and of course the guests, as mentioned by Sister Lalita, good morning, namaste. And it's really an honor to be part of this endeavor. And I think Sister Lalita invited me for this one because this is one of the trends of nursing we're in. We put a lot of effort to have an artificial intelligence as part of their major requirements in one of my subjects, which is the trends and issue in nursing alternative in nursing education. And I think this is very timely, and I would like to congratulate everyone for the successful meetings or events. To start with, I would like to allow me to share my PowerPoint presentations. Okay. So can you see my slides right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay. So digital transformation in healthcare, a systematic framework, is the one that was assigned to me at this event. So moving on, the objective is as follows: to reform the nursing professionals as techno-savvies and encourage them to lead and develop innovations in education and patient care, to ensure digitalization facilities flexibility to bring out youth stress among nursing fraternity. So the theme of the seminar would be Digitech Nurse on Board, Use Stress or Distress. Right now, I would like to encourage our participants or delegates to put in the chat box. I'm just going to minimize my slides, or I'm just going to stop sharing first because I want to see your answer if this Digitech is eustress or distress. Can you put that in the chat box so that I will see the thoughts of the delegates in our seminar right now? Okay. Hi, Sister Lalita. Can they wrote in our chat box? Can the participant wrote at the chat box about the eustress and distress? Is this is the team like Digitech in nursing profession a eustress to you or a distress? Can you put your answer in the chat box? Or can anyone answer? Is it a eustress or distress to you? Okay, Pritam.
Eustress.
Eustress. That's very good. That's very positive. Thank you for that. Okay,
Thank you.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pritam. Anyone else? Okay. So, can I ask at least two more?
It's eustress, ma'am.
Eustress again.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Good. Okay, is that Practitia? Mrs. Practitia, thank you so much. And last one, may I ask? Sister, Doctor, Sister Lalita, I cannot hear you. Can you hear Sister Lalita? Yes, eustress again. So everyone, I think it's all positive in you because when I asked here in the Philippines, both, it's still for them, some answer eustressed and some answer distressed. And when I asked the theme here in the Philippines, most of the younger generation answer eustress, and not so young answer distress. So here in the Philippines, it's really not 100% because I can relate that to the age, whether they're going to answer eustress or distress. But in my next slide, eustress signs, meaning it's a positive sign that if we are embracing Digitech, we tend to have provides productive energy to the environment, help increase focus, increase motivation, is often experience and excitement, feels manageable, improves performance, associated confidence, and expectation of a positive outcome. And that is the eustress sign if being embracing technology in our profession is really on a positive side. But if you are in distress, this is the signs. Of course, it's provides restless energy, decrease the focus, increase procrastination, avoidance. Is often experienced as fear and concern, feels overwhelming in work, impairs performance, associated with insecurity. Maybe because we do have different level of using technology. And I can say in my survey here in the Philippines that majority of the younger generation really answered the eustress, and not so young generation answer really distress in their workplace. And of course, we have fear or negative of a negative outcome as part of the distress signs. Okay. Then Digitech nurse on board will realize technology as transformative potential in nursing requires a comprehensive understanding of how to turn data into informations, into knowledge, knowledge into wisdom, and wisdom into applied practice. And definitely this is research also. This is research using the technology. Then Digitech nurse on board will also effectively the informatics can improve every dimension of health, including the firstly urgent dimensions of needing to improve access to care and ensure health equity to all. Then we'll realize that clinical practice today is fully socio-technological phenomenon, entirely reliant both upon a nurse compassion and upon our technology capacity to supply information and services in time. Okay, at the beginning of my talk, I would like to you always remember this thought that even though we are embracing technology, I think we need to still being a nurse to have a high touch and high tech skills and knowledge that we are going to provide to our patients and students. We can be high tech, but still high touch. High touch means high care also, because this is one of our positive image of the nurse all over the world, that nurses are really in high touch. Okay. And I think as we look in the future with nursing education, that is more Digitech is more on the competency base, and I think it will be the front and the center. And for the participants here wishing to keep pace with the latest thinking on contemporary nursing, I think this is the opportunity for you to embrace my example later on about how to incorporate that also in our work, whether we are talking about university where we are teaching or while we are in the bedside care. But don't forget high tech, high touch. Then I would like to start with the evolutions all over the world about information technologies. And it began in 1750, 1750. And the first one who embraced this one is really mechanical production or the engineering department, where they going to use this one in the railroads or steam power. And the second industrial evolution is during the 1850s, wherein mass production for electrical power and advent our assembly line, and no nursing yet, no healthcare. And as you can see in the third 1969, there are more automated production, electronics, and computer. It begins where we are using our computer. And the fourth is right now 2000 and up, which is artificial intelligence, big data, robotics, and more to come according. And as you can see in my slide, it's between the 1950 and the 2000, the three and the fourth, but very near in the fourth industrial revolution, wherein the health sector has progressed in terms of using information technology. Okay. The highlights on the evolution on the health sector between the three and the fourth is the what we call the mainframe computer era, wherein it's between 1950 and 1960. So this is just the highlights, wherein health information technology began in the early 1950s and 1960s with the introduction of mainframe computers. So as you can see that our colleagues during the 1950s and 60s has started using the computers. Then mainframe computers were adopted readily by all business sector. There was only minimal impact in the health sector during that day, because I think if you're going to go back, see again the industrial evolution, we are near in the fourth industrial revolutions, or near the 2000, but it's still between the 1950 and the 2000. Okay. Then, okay, so the health sector. Then the second highlights of the evolutions is the health IT era. It's between the 1970 and the 2000 year. Then in the second evolutionary phase of health technology, we called health information technology emerged as health informatics. So we embrace health informatics right now as a discipline evolved, and problem-oriented health records were implemented. I think the health records were implemented in the hospital setting and not yet in the academe. We're in between the 1970 and 2000, those who are advanced in the hospital setting are already been using the information technology in the database of the patients. By the late 1990s, the personal computer became normalized as telecommunication networks and modern software become integrated into hospital system. This is according to Rowland's 2019. Over the course of this 30 years period, personal computers came into consumer market and health IT department advanced and deployed enterprise and health IT department advanced to manage corporate information in health organizations such as hospital, as mentioned earlier. And of course, the example for the IT is the medical records, the human resource management, wherein they started to put all the employees in the data bank, and of course finance. I think based on a lot of book, I think I read more than 100 books in relation to health IT era, but most of the books really tells me that the finance in the hospital was the one who really embraced this certain technology in the healthcare system. Okay, are you all okay? Okay, dear participants, do you have any questions? Okay, moving on. This is, I think, the latest, what we call the e-health era, 2000 to 220 or above. So this is what we are doing right now. That's what we call the e-health era. The new millennium ushered in the era of e-health, where healthcare practices were more directly supported by communication and information technologies and computer system and digital technology. This is World Health Organization, according to the World Health 2012. Health systems were facing substantial growth in chronic illness, such as non-communicable illness, which required a significant need, quality, and safety data information care delivery. I believe that because I am an epidemiology and surveillance officer under World Health Organization to target polio free in our country, and we train to stabilize our data as evidence-based data to prove that we no longer have polio, for us to declare as polio-free country. And using this one, using the technology, and we call that, I learned that from Center for Disease Control, and we use EpiInfo to put all the data. We use that as our data bank, and we use EpiInfo also to analyze the scarcity, the effect of the patients to each other, the trends. we use also the epi info to look for the trends. And I think that is part of the second bullet wherein this has something to do with quality and safety data to inform care delivery, and very helpful. Then another is this were often deployed on smartphones, offering consumers personalized health services in palm of their hand. And this of era dramatically shifted consumer access to health information. I think this is very common right now during the time of the pandemic. And I know you would agree with me that that technology really plays an important role in relation to the pandemic right now, which is the COVID-19. And even checking in other country temperature, it is already been other government agency already monitor all their populations in relation to the personalized health system services by their government in different part of the world to really monitor of the pandemic or our what we call the latest hit all over the world, which is the COVID-19. To continue, the e-health era focused more directly on patient care delivery, whereby digital technologies were adopted to inform provider directed care, leveraging evidence-based care pathways. And I think we use this to recommend, to analyze the severity of the cases, the severity of the diseases, just like what happened all over the world about COVID-19. And eHealth era focused on enterprise-wide shared health records known as electronic medical records. And I know you are all familiar with this one because we are using this in our hospital and later referred as electronic health record. And even here in our country, and I know in your country, as I read in your Department of Health, that data bank in relation to electronic health record is using worldwide. The traditional role recipient of healthcare typically focus on disease management towards the role of proactive decision maker in managing personal health goals. And this is according to Rowland's 2019 again, which I think because of the help of the technology, this is somewhat helps decision maker to being proactive in terms of their giving of policies and even guidelines in terms of health services to the population or to the people in our own country. And I think this is very evident in relation to the COVID-19 pandemic all over the world. And this is the future, I think, digital health, wherein according to some books right now, that advanced country, and I know in India you are very techno savvy in relation to using technology, and this is advanced country situated right now using digital health. This is the 2020 and beyond. Digital health is now considered an evolutionary leap that will transform healthcare system from the provider focused system of today's toward digital health ecosystem of tomorrow. They are really concerned about the ecosystem also of tomorrow. And the digital health era is enabled by integration of, as mentioned earlier by our host, that artificial intelligence, which mobilize big data from multiple sources, especially in the clinical area. We know that we do have a really big data in clinical area to support advances in predictive analytics, able to proactively identify risk and inform prevention efforts to mitigate risk and protect or sustain health and wellness. So it has something to do with the promotions. It has something to do with a timely manner in where we need to stop this kind of thing like pandemic or the mode of transmission of certain disease using the digital health. And I think the role of the nurse is promotion more on preventions, because we are if we are using this kind of thing, we can predict already and do a predictive analytics to where we can stop the mode of transmission of each disease. So our role is really on the preventions and promotions of health rather than in the curative things. And I think that is where I situate my other lab for nursing, which is environmental nursing, wherein we are more on the promotion and preventions of disease. Digital health mobilize information technologies such as artificial intelligence, as mentioned earlier, robotics, machine learnings, the Internet of Things, self-help application, virtual reality, and many others. Okay. Okay, of course, my task for the day is to show you a framework in terms of digital health, and I picked two frameworks in these concepts. Okay, so I found this a very good framework in digital health from Snowdon 2019. This has something to do with analysis of current digital health frameworks, wherein person enable healthcare in prioritization of healthcare services that support people and population to manage their health and wellness within the context of their personal values, needs, and unique life circumstances. And very basic. That's why I love this one. Very basics. I think it has something to do with our own discipline in life. And it all began, according to Snowden, it all began internally from the individual. Our personal values, our uniqueness in life, and everything. And of course, in this digital health framework, also according to Snowdon, we do have a predictive analytics. Okay, in the predictive analytic is the transformation of data into information, knowledge, and insight to create real world evidence to inform decision. Health system generate massive amounts of data. So this also tells that, as I mentioned earlier, I used the word predictive analysis, where I think this is mentioned in the framework of Snowdon, wherein they want, in this framework, they want us using the information technology to predict what will happen in the future. Okay, this is the beauty of this framework. Whether we are going to use this framework in the classroom or even in our hospital setup, no problem within this one, because this has something to do first with our own as individual values. Then we go in our highly knowledgeable and skills using technology, wherein we can situate ourselves to recommend better for the lawmakers in terms of our knowledge and insight to inform a good decisions on what we are going to do in terms of healthcare system. And to continue, based on the digital health framework of Snowdon, he mentioned about governance and workforce is a system level strategy that guides the implementation of digital health across global health system. Governance ensure the policy, and regulatory environment of health system guards privacy, security, stewardship, and accountability. Strongly linked to performance and strategy is the integrity, capacity, and sustainability of health workers, which is critical to ensuring people and population have secure connectivity to care teams, and data is accessible across the journey of care. Okay, very beautiful. Governance is part of this framework. It has something to do with the policy, regulation in the environment of healthcare systems. And I think this is one of our connections to our government, wherein if we have this kind of data, if us nurses has this data in our hands, and I can strongly agree that we do have a strong connection to our uh, government, because we are the source of ensuring people and population to have the secure connectivity to the healthcare teams like us, because we are the one who's going to take care of the people, our patients, and as well as our family. And I think what is important in the government is really an accessibility of this journey of care, as Digitech nurse will do in the future. We need governance according to Snowdon. And the fourth and final dimensions of the framework of Snowdon is is interoperability, which has long been considered a critical infrastructure capacity of health system to enable data to be seamlessly mobilized from multiple sources, including both formalized healthcare data and user-generated sources of health data. We can have the formal survey, and I think informal survey wherein, just like what happened before my speaking engagement with you, I asked my students, my colleagues, if Digitech is eustress or distress to them. So we can combine that in interoperability. And interoperability is the ability of different information system devices and application to access, exchange, integrate, and cooperatively use data in coordinate manner, providing timely, seamless access, portability to data and information to optimize healthcare, optimize the health. In interoperability, I think we are both in the private agency. We are not in the government. I believe Holy Spirit is a private institution in India. And me also in St. Paul, we are in the private agency. The interoperability, according to Snowdon, as last dimension in digital health, has something to do with the partnership with the private agency and the public agency. So we need to work as one, the private and the government agency, wherein it was mentioned in the framework of Snowdon. And the last one is interoperability. Okay, I think this is the end of the framework for Snowdons. And the next framework, another explanation for interoperability is a key dimension to digital health in ecosystem. It makes it possible for individuals and population to own and manage their personal health data, supporting credentialing of data to make it portable and able to be shared with providers when needed. Interoperability standard ensure common language of data that is standardized to ensure every individual, every provider team, and every health system globally can access data-informed care decision. And that is one explanation of Snowdon in interoperability. Okay, another framework that I use aside from Snowman is the life cycle. This is a system design life cycle. So in this life cycle, I just summarized that book. It's just a series of three, but this is the importance of the three consecutive books. It has something to do with system life cycle phases, wherein there are planning, analysis, design, develop, and customize, implement, evaluate, support, and maintain. I think this is the life cycle phases. And I think the clinical software implementations in major tasks, if we are talking of planning, is a governance structure, which was mentioned in my first framework of Snowman, wherein I already explained about governance. Then in planning also, you have to have a project purpose, project scope document, resource planning. The second system life cycle has something to do with analysis, wherein there is a technical requirements in clinical software, functional design document, and system proposal document. And the third system life cycle phases has something to do with design, you develop, and customize. Design has a functional specification and technical specification if we are talking of clinical software. If you are developing, it is where focus plans to develop what do you want to develop, and customize system dictionary data and profiles, policies, and provision can be input into the customized one. And the last system cycle, implement, you evaluate, you support, and maintain. Implement, you plan again policies and procedure. Then in evaluation, there would be a live operations, cut over, and go live plans. Then if you are more on the evaluation, it is a post live according to this live operations, wherein you need to evaluate everything. And I think it is very important to evaluate, because we need to maintain and that our strength and develop and I think develop and the weaknesses that we do have in based on our post evaluation. And of course, we do have daily support operation, ongoing maintenance, if we are really talking of clinical software. And I think you need to define in your plans how to maintain this system life cycle phases in your clinical software, because I think if you're not going to maintain this one, it is much expensive, and of course the data that we are going to input in there will be useless. So you have to have an operation ongoing maintenance if we are talking of the system life cycle phases in clinical software. And this is some of the framework using, this is by Alexander's nurse patient trajectory framework using the system life cycle phases. And it has something to do with the needs of the patients and nurse needs. But both, if we are talking on the patient context and even in the nurse context in this trajectory, we have to note that there would be always an observation, action, reporting, and recording. And after the patients and nursing patients needs identification, we will have the nursing process. Then of course human computer interaction, wherein we're going to put already the data that we based on our observation, actions. Then of course health design, usability, workflow, document, burden, and interoperability will be coming in here. You see in this framework, Alexander Nurse, they use system cycle, but they use also interoperability, because interoperability is working to healthcare team, not only for the nurses group, but the whole healthcare team. And it was mentioned already by Snowman in that aspect. And of course, after the stages, we will have a nursing outcomes and the patient outcomes, and both could be part is satisfaction, of course satisfaction about the process of care, and of course our goal as a nurse is patient safety, and good for the patient outcomes to have a patient safety also. So this is, I think, the best and second framework about digital health. So Snowman and Alexander Nurse patient framework trajectory, or what we call the the system lifecycle phases. Okay. So moving on, Digitech nurse on board. Where are we now? I think we are between the IT era and the digital era. That is the highlights of my previous slides. If you're going to remember about the digital health in the evolutions in the IT, in the nursing professions. So new technologies in healthcare and nursing, and the paradigm and operationalization of digital health rely on technologies relatively in the new to healthcare. Then emerging into the healthcare ecosystem, they are at the core of mechanism of digital health and their impact on evolutions of society. And without new technology, digital health would not be possible, as they underpin the revolutionary functions of personalized connected healthcare delivery that permeate the healthcare industry today and into tomorrow. So new technologies, in best example I think that I can give you, always mention artificial assistive intelligence. This is the new technology definition impact on digital health. New technology about this artificial assistive intelligence. This is an automation of smart machine to complete activities that we associate with humans, including thinking, such as decision making, problem solving, perceiving, planning, learning the ability to move object. I also do systematic review of literature according to this artificial intelligence. And from Bellman 1917 to Kumar 2018, this has something to do with the same definitions about artificial intelligence or assistive intelligence. And we do have a predictions of events if we are using this one in condition using machine learning and automation of patient care staff tasks. Another example is Internet of Medical Things, which is IOMT, an amalgamation of medical devices and application that can be connected to healthcare information technology system using networking technology. This is from Frost and Sullivan 2017. The best that the one who can access this one are the remote patient where they are living in the far-flung areas, and of course connected care using the sensor. And I think this has something to do with the telehealth. And virtual and augmented reality, this is I think used by the gamers. Okay, so as academician, as teacher, we can use this gamers to improve our methodology in teaching. We're in an artificial environment which is experienced through sensory stimuli such as sight, sounds provided by computer, and in which one action partially determine what happens in the environment. This is according to Merriam-Webster. Then, of course, in virtual and augmented reality, management of stressful patient events, simulations for medical educations. And I think I was able to share this with Sister Lalita in my class about the artificial intelligence and augmented intelligence, where this is the best example for the new technologies about healthcare, in the healthcare or digital health. And genomics, we do have genomics as part of the example for the new technology. This is where the study of all the genes in all human genome together, including their interaction with each other, their environment, and other psychosocial and cultural factors. This is according to Hamilton 2009. Then it has something to do with the precision health, personalized health, and experience. Okay, I'm so sorry for that. And in genomics, this is very, I think, very important to know that we are using this one, especially during yung conceive in the test tube baby. In vitro is something to do with genomics. Okay. Another thing is cloud computing. I think this is very obvious because we do have a large of data And according to Grants 2011, a model which permits ubiquitous, convenient, on-demand network access to shared pool of configurable computing resources that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or sister provider interaction. And it has something to do with the storage of network healthcare data, faster patient care communications. And about health information technology innovation, disruption leading to new technologies. Is it disruptions or innovations? And I think in this slide, again, innovation could be eustressed, but disruption could be in the distressing. But in the book that I have read, it is more on the innovation wherein the significant impact innovation have on individuals' clinical care and operation brought forward by players who are change maker, advancing solutions that improve the health of individual and population are quickly becoming the new worldwide standard. And I think the disruption only is inequity and inaccessibility to individuals unsolicited sharing of data. Another innovation is identify new improved health policy system product and technologies and services and delivery methods that improve people's health and well-being, respond to unmet public health needs by creating new ways of thinking and working on the needs of vulnerable population. And of course, it aims in the add value in the forms of improved efficiency, effectiveness, quality, sustainability, safety, and or affordability, health innovation, be preventive, promotive, curative, and rehabilitative and assistive care according to World Health Organization. And only the disruption is include the ethics, the trust, information security. If we are talking about digitech, is it innovation or disruptions? I think this is a common problem to all over around the world. The information security, I think, is the number one we need to solve, especially if we are talking about interoperability, because in interoperability, again, it's a sharing of data. And the 7 motivator in Digitech nursing is drive to learn and manage wellness, wherein people are motivated to learn healthy behavior and strategies that fit with their personal health and wellness goals. Another one is drive to engage and connect to others like me. Online peer-to-peer support, offering consumer support, learning from people like me, which encourages and enable progress toward shared health goals. Drive for autonomy. I think this is a very easy to learn that autonomy is independence in the nursing profession. Drive to self-manage health information. People today are seeking health information that is relevant to them, their values, and their personal circumstances. Drive for precisions, accuracy, and confidence in healthcare. People who have access to and manage their own health information and more confident in the quality of care as they are able to recognize and track their progress, evaluate the risk, and ensure and receiving quality of care. Drive to collaborate, partner, or the interoperability I mentioned, empowering with access of information. And this is an opportunity for meaningful connectivity to each other and engage between the person and their health provider, then creating the condition for shared decision making. And of course, drive toward consumer engagement. And of course, the phenomena is always the Google, our Dr. Google, and access on online technology. And the source of this one is 2014 study, and this is 7 key motivation according to Snowdon, my first framework, and this is also crafted in his book. In summary, data is harvested in real time across all societal activities, sophisticated analysis, distill knowledge from this data to encourage better health, better value by including a wide range of economic activities and technology. The digital health era reflects transformation of healthcare toward an ecosystem. A new architecture and collaborative environment extend well beyond digitalizing today's health system. And digital health, also referred to as ecosystem, is a new architecture, collaborative care environment. Digital technologies offer the potential to transform traditional in-person visit with provided toward a more digitally enabled care environment. And the digital health era reflects the transformation of healthcare towards ecosystem of, I think I mentioned this already. Then, of course, in the 21st century, nursing care involve using new technology to transform how where nurses deliver patient care and manage operation, learning new ways of thinking about the processing information using nursing experiences, knowledge, and skill will transition how nurses work. This is according to Robert 2019. And I think this is the future. And I talked already this to Sister Lalita. We're in I want to connect really and a new study we're in Digitech Health Nurse, as mentioned in your team, in relation to ecosystem, how to take care of the environment, because one of my mantra in life is really to promote an environmental health nursing. And I think that could be the ecosystem. These are my references. And oh my god, sorry for that one. And this would be a good future readings. I'm just sharing this to you, and this is a good book to you to read in terms of Digitech Nurse. And Bahuchay Yavaad, I do not know if I pronounce it right, but thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be with you right now. Thank you.
I, Mrs. Ria Corgill, will be hosting the remaining international e-conference. Thank you, Madam. Please accept our gratitude for your outstanding lecture, Digital Transformation in Healthcare, in accelerating the digital transformation to design learning and strategic approach to leadership and managing change. Thank you, Madam. Now, the forum is open for discussion. You can post your question and ask them in the chat box. Madam, there is one question for you.
Yes.
At a time for developing country like India, it can be challenging discussion to adapt the technology changes, how to overcome this issue on the short scale.
So what is your question? Is it about developing country to adopt Digitech? Something like that?
Discussion, ma'am.
Okay.
Decision.
Okay, adopting the digital technology in the world, in a third world country. So India, Philippines, we do have the same. We will brand as third world country, but I don't think that being in a third world country will hamper us to develop so much about this technology savvy. And embracing this one is really, I think, apart from us, let's say that the era in terms of innovations or the digital 2020 and beyond, because the digital era, because of somehow what we call the technology itself is so expensive. I do not know if I am answering the question right. With digital, how can you use integrate together? A time for a like in can be challenging decision to adopt the technology. Okay, to overcome the issue in a short scale, I think we can be innovative in our own ways. We can use what we have in our own country and to flourish whatever it is, to flourish what we do have, to use what we have right now. We cannot be part of like an advanced country to use the artificial intelligence, but I think through our innovation, we can use and integrate it together in terms of digital tech nurse. So maybe I do not know if I answered the question right, but what we can have right now is really what we have. So we cannot, because artificial intelligence is really, or genomics is really expensive, and I think we need a budget for that coming from the government. And we can still talk about that one, but in the short scale, what we can do is really to use what we have right now, using era, the 2000 and era that has something to do with the computerization. Or I mentioned about the EpiInfo that you can, that's a free software that you can use in applying your data, in analyzing the data in health.
Thank you, madam. I ask the participant kindly ask more questions. Okay, madam. Thank you, madam, and also the delegates.
You're
Namaste.
welcome. Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Moving on to our next session, cultivating culture in nursing through digitalization. Let me take pleasure of introducing Madam Shivangi Pangam. She is presently employed of PD Hinduja Hospital and MRC College of Nursing as a vice principal and head of child health nursing department. She is a fellow FAMER 2019 and PhD scholar under MVHS. She is also a BOS member, Maharashtra University of Health Science, Nasik. She is a chief editor journal of Critical Care Nursing. She has completed her BSc Nursing and MSc Nursing from prestigious college, LT College of Nursing, SNDT, 2000 and 2005 respectively. She is regularly participating and implementing institutional curricula for various courses in nursing at National Forum. Madam also has research credential. She won the first prize in Avishkar 2019 and 18. She has won the second place award at 2020 state level research conference at VSPM College of Physiotherapy in Nagpur. Won at 1920 College of Physiotherapy state level research conference in Ahmednagar. So I request Madam to continue this session.
Thank you, Ria. Ria, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is my screen visible, Ria?
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you, Ria, and good morning to all of you. And since it is an international conference, greetings from India as well as from Hinduja College of Nursing. So this half an hour next, we would see some of the strategies for cultivating culture in nursing through digitalization and how we are going to travel. Some trends, we will just brush over it. And mainly the main part of today's session, we will deliberate more on challenges for creating digitalization culture in nursing and what are the solutions through sharing of some of the case studies, innovations and possibilities at world as well as at our institution. So as all of us know that in Royal College of Nursing, and this is, everybody is aware about it, that every nurse to be an e-nurse, one who is able to use data, information, knowledge, and technology to its full potential for patients, carers, and service users. This was a theme proposed by Royal College of Nursing way back in 2018, and as a result of it, there was a report which was published in 2018 titled Clever Together, and which was named as Future of Nursing is Digital. Now, this particular report is really insightful, and so many of the facts and challenges could come from that. Now, what are some of the things that, the trends what this report talked about? That is more than half, that is 58.3% of nurses use technology or data all the time in their everyday practice. 2 in 5, that is 39.6%, describe themselves as digitally leading, and very heartily 4 in 5, that is 81.4%, felt that data, information, knowledge, and technology would make a large positive contribution to nursing and midwifery. However, despite of this openness to technology, the participants were not finding it easy to embrace the digital revolution, as fewer than half, that is 45.9%, felt their organization was doing a good job of supporting them to develop their digital capabilities. So less than half of the the nurses who participated in this particular service, the nurses under NHS Trust, only half of them, they felt that their organization was supporting. So this was in the developed country. So what is going to be the scenario, or what is the state in developing countries, one need to really think about. Now, what are some of the challenges? Okay, these were the trends. Some of the challenges these nurses expressed, not only these nurses, but the nurses, when we talk about with regard to the technology worldwide and specifically in India also. This is as per the verbatim of nursing. The first challenge, the biggest barrier to any system is electronic or paper-based, is chronic understaffing. And I think those who are from service would be able to relate to this. If staff haven't have time to take the break, use the bathroom, and struggling to deliver patient care, they will find it difficult to engage with and learn new system. So the challenge one is malalignment between the clinical and nursing workflows. The challenge two, which was identified as per this verbatim, most of the nurses also said often do not know the extent of our work. Those who are actually, this is about, the people who deployed, who were involved in deploying the technology at their workplaces, and have never walked in our shoes, yet they make decisions on our behalf. So nurses were not very happy when others were taking decisions on their behalf, specifically when it came to implementation of the technology. They have no idea about workflows and how information is used. So challenge two is product mismatch. And I think most of us, can relate to this challenge too. Now, the third challenge, what was there was, let's not forget that some of the workforce started with pen and paper, and then the support has not always been there to help them move along as a new technology has been introduced. So the generation gap, okay, or the old and new nurses, the conflict with regard to the technology again. So the challenge three is not a generation gap, but maybe the fixed mindset about embracing when it comes to embrace the digital technology or digitalization. The challenge four, again by the verbatim of nurses, the single most fundamental problem in our trust. Now this is from the verbatim of the nurses from NHS, okay, so the developed countries, is the inadequacy of our IT systems. We are currently upgrading our PCs to run Windows 7, an operating system that is already nearly a decade out of the date. So again, the challenge over here is insufficient IT and organizational support. Now this again, I think most of us, especially working in education, would be able to relate. The mobile devices, as we all see, and the nurses also would have this kind of, the conflict going into their mind, although they must have not verbalized. A part of junior physicians' armory, the physicians use the mobile as an assistive aid, where it facilitates the decision making. Any times when they are stuck with the clinical decision making, they can access the mobile, Google, or they can have their own databases, access to their authentic databases, find out the reason, and then also it would facilitate their clinical decision making. However, use among nurses when it comes to it is forbidden due to personal mobile devices and query digital professionalism. So the challenge for all of us, all the nurse managers, and all of us, the nurses, it is not to abandon the mobile, but to create the culture of digital professionalism. And the last challenge, what we would explore more about is, these are the side effects that will come with the digitalization. So some of the side effects, as we all know, that clinical alert system, okay? So the clinical decision support system may over alert healthcare workers, leading to alert fatigue. The virtual reality, augmented reality can cause simulation sickness, leading to dizziness and visual disturbances. So the last challenge over here is possible side effects. So how we can surmount these challenges? What are some of the solutions for these challenges? So let us see through some of the case studies, some of the experience which have been shared by the nurses, as well as some of the possibilities which have been experimented but not yet used. So when we are dividing these challenges, the challenges are mainly the system-based challenges and the individual challenges. Okay, so let us see in relation, in alignment with that Clever Together report, where they have cited one great example. So even I thought of compiling some of the great examples, so to get us an idea how we can convert this challenge into the opportunities, or how we can combat this challenge, surmount this challenge for the better benefit of patient, better benefit of nurses, and better benefit of organizations. So let me take an opportunity to share some of the worldwide and in-house experiments with you through this particular forum. So the great example one, the challenge which was first verbatim, that vividly showed us that there was a malalignment between the clinical and nursing goal. Now, what would be the solution? As a common sense says, we need to align the clinical and nursing workflow. Do we have any case study on which we can rely? Do we have any kind of, the exercise which is done somewhere in the world, which we can implement at our level after making it tailor-made as per our situations and our problems? So this is a case study. Okay, so this is a place, Yale New Haven Hospital, New Haven, Connecticut, over 1,500 bedded hospitals. And I must mention the names of the contributors over here. The one of the contributor is Dr. Judith Hahn, Director of Nursing Professional Practice. Apart from the contributors from analytics as well as from the clinical information manager. What was the context over here? Adoption of Rothman Index. Now, all of us, those who work in clinical area, we know that there are many indexes, and Rothman is one that would help us to identify or get an awareness into the patient acuity and risk. What is the advantage of it? If we anticipate the awareness, we anticipate the patient acuity, we anticipate the risk, we are able to manage it proactively, and we are able to prevent the adverse reactions or a sudden deterioration in the patient conditions, again contributing to the quality patient care. What was the challenge when they started off implementing, or rather, digitalizing this Rothman index? So the challenge was absence of ample peer-reviewed literature to convince nurses and other clinicians that result would make a difference in patient care. Again, when you read the report Clever Together, you understand, see, it is not a generation gap. It is not the old and new nurses. It is not a generation Z and generation, the millennials, okay? Or it is the generation what we belong to, that is, so it is not about it. It is, the why nurses fear to embrace the digital technology, because somewhere they have that hesitation thinking that it would compromise their contact with the patient. It would have the adverse effect on the direct patient care, the direct bedside care, and therefore they remain, some kind of wariness when it comes to using or clinging to the digitalization. So what was done? It is worth to mention over here again, the SWAT team. Now, what is this particular SWAT team? This is their hospital. They had this, not only in this hospital, but I think the hospitals in US, they have this SWAT teams where specialized workforce for acute transport. Now, this team comprised of nurses who were expert in cardiovascular, who were expert in critical care, okay? And what happened is that this particular team started receiving immediate notifications on their mobile phones when the index indicated deterioration. Any patient, when suddenly deteriorated and the index got compromised, the alert was gone to the members of the SWAT team. Now, what was the role of the SWAT team? The team reviewed the EMR, okay? So they reviewed the EMR, they assess, not only review the EMR, they also assess the patients and collaborates on pertinent aspects of the care. So this particular team, along with the digitalization, the digital integration of Rothman Index, this added team comprising of specialized individuals or the specialized nurses serve as a second eye. Second eye being instrumental for identifying the deterioration in patient care and fixing it proactively so that further deterioration and the adverse reactions can be prevented. Now, what was the outcome of this particular entire exercise when it was done? Many aha moments, the wow moments which got created as alert facilitated proactive management and better clinical outcomes. The reference is given afterwards in the end. So if you go and check and read about this particular case study, you would know that the acuity level, identification of acuity level helped in identification of patient and the morbidity and mortality associated with the adverse reaction came down very significantly, and that again helped the clinicians and nurses to value the importance of the digital integration, because they could see with their own eyes the tangible results because of this digital integration, and eventually they integrated these new algorithms into the patient care pathways. I think this case study for all of us, it is not only the Rothman Index, but when it comes to India, there is a possibility for all of us to digitally integrate some of the indexes, some of the risk stratification strategies, which will again help us to have the better patient outcomes. Now, when you read through this particular case study, some of the insights which were developed, what are some of the enablers facilitating the cultural development? So if you want to create a culture of digitalization, that smooth transition where people would embrace digitalization without much difficulty, very importantly, aligning the interdisciplinary workflow. We cannot have a different kind of parameters for identification of or for outcomes related, clinical outcomes, for nursing outcomes. So it is better that we integrate the system, and it is an interdisciplinary system rather than discipline specific system. Because again, if you read about this Rothman Index, look into this Rothman Index, out of the parameters, 25, the 16 parameters belong to nursing. So again, instead of going separately, what is very important that we integrate, we have an interdisciplinary approach. Second is result driven system, proven clinical utility. So whenever we have any kind of digital integration, we have to keep an end in the mind. What is going to be the positive outcome for my patient, for my colleagues, or for myself as a nursing force or a clinical healthcare team, and for my organization. And if you get an answer yes, and with that yes, you are able to convince your the fellows and you are able to convince your teammates, I think the culture adaptation would be very easy. Third thing, what again I would like to re-emphasize is that empowered nurses are at center. The specialized nurses, they serve as a second eye for this entire project. And what they were the one also, the very convinced about the utility of it. And in turn, they became the medium, or in turn, they became an agent where they could convince others to participate and to take forward this kind of digital integration. And definitely a presence of nursing leadership. What I mentioned about Judith Han, along with the system analytics officers and along with other clinical information officers, again, the nurse was there in the center to execute this entire project. So I think these are some of the insights which were developed after reading through this particular case study. And these are the points what we could keep it in mind when we want to develop the culture of digitalization. Now, the second great example is with regard to the challenge 2, the product mismatch. Again, most of us, as I've told you in that verbatim also, are able to relate to it. We buy, we also have this experience. We buy from the vendors, the systems, the digital systems may be very expensive, maybe having some kind of the significant financial repercussions, but still we go ahead and we buy it. And when we actually try to deploy it, implement it, we find some kind of product mismatch, not very suitable for our needs, or some of our significant needs are not being looked after, and therefore it in turn gets into or turns into, eventually gets into that repetition of the work. What we have to do it on system, we may also have to repeat on the paper. So what is the solution for this? Include nurses in the procurement and every stage of implementation if they are going to be expected to use the system. So they should not be the one who are at the end. They will come to know about the system implementation. They should be from the conceptualization till its deployment and till its maintenance. So again, the example what I would like to give, and it was again, it was mentioned in that Clever Together report, the NHS Trust hospitals in England. So this was an experience shared by project lead nurse in Operation Theatre. This particular project lead nurse, the nurse was a project lead for the theatre system deployment. Okay, so what was the context? There was a theatre system which had already been implemented by the IT department, but it wasn't being used efficiently and effectively by the staff. So what was the challenge which was identified? Finding out that what was the challenge which was identified? System did not reflect the practices and processes within the environment, and another challenge was the staffs were also not fully trained in its use. So what was done? There were two things which were done over here: discussion with the supplier about the changes and training for the staff. What was the outcome of this entire exercise? Okay, system meeting the requirement of the staff. So this project lead, the nurse who served as a project lead, was made an instrumental to talk with the suppliers, to have an interaction with the suppliers, to inform them about the existing problems, okay, what is present in the system, and also find out the solutions, the practical solutions to the current issues which are there in the system. So again, having a nurse at the center has helped for this kind of this particular theatre system deployment. Now, again, when we look at this entire exercise and entire experience, which is shared by this lead nurse, project lead nurse, what are some of the insights developed with regard to the enablers facilitating cultural development? First thing is involvement of nurses right from procurement. And I would say not only right from procurement, even at the level of conceptualization. Okay, when we plan to have any system upgradation in our unit or system, even in any new system you want to bring it into your unit or in your organization, it is important that you involve the nurses in that entire project. Support during the deployment, definitely the training, and the training again not by the people who are involved into the system deployment, but it has to be an interdisciplinary training. There should be a trainer from biomedical department, should be a trainer from nursing department, should be on, and not only one-time trainer, but you know that 24/7 support by having some kind of the champions, you know, the technology champions available all through the shift. Third thing is a feedback analysis. When system is deployed, or not only deployed for the first time, now also working in college, I understand anything which is there for a prolonged period of time, we just not allow it to run because it was running for last 10 years. We need to take a feedback about that particular system, especially the digital system, owing to the fast upgradation which is happening every minute, every second. Okay, in the digital world, take the feedback, and which needs to be again a bottom-up feedback or a participative feedback, and analyze the feedback, and depending upon that, whether you may upgrade the system or you may even think of replacing the particular system. And as I've told you, strengthening training. It is not a one-time training, two-time training, but thinking an innovative way by which we can provide 24/7 kind of, you know, support to our nurses, especially during the earlier period of implementation of the system. Now, the great example 3, what I've told you is about the fixed mindset. Now, this fixed mindset, the generation gap, okay, or the generation of like people of my age who did not have the very easy access to the computers as compared to the present generation, who actually are born with, you know, the digital handset or the mobile in their hand. Okay, so it is not, when you look into the entire exercise, the analyze the scenario, it is not the generation gap. You know, technology eases out the things. So if it is easing out for the 21-year-old nurse, it would definitely ease out to 45-year-old nurse and 65-year-old nurse also. Are you understanding this? So it is not it is not a generation gap, or it is not you know, our ability based on the generation to learn the system. I think the problem over is a fixed mindset. I will not be, we have that, you know, we were doing it for so many years, so many days with paper. Why there is a need to have the digitalization? You know, if we have that kind of fixed mindset, that becomes the challenge. So what is the solution? I think the shift in curricular implementation and retraining and reskilling, this is required. And one more, because we may have the delegates from college as well as from nursing, you know, somewhere this particular experience or this particular case study talks about starting from the beginning. Okay, so the place here which is mentioned is Duxon University, Pittsburgh. And here this experience is about the curricular innovation. Even what was a gap identified during the curricular audit, okay, or during the curricular convention at university, they found that there is an enhanced need for requirement of dual competencies. Even the nursing students, they require the engineering competencies and they require nursing competencies. Are you understanding this? When I talk about, or when we talk about nurses, having nurses on our board, from conceptualization, definitely we need to have some of the engineering, or to be very specific, the informational competencies embedded into the nursing program. Whereas what was a challenge when they compared it, when they analyzed their own situation, there was existing curricular gap where curriculum failed to combine both. That is both engineering or nursing competencies, or the informational and nursing competencies. What was done at this particular university? They roll out nurse engineer educational program, which was a dual degree program, where 3 years of nursing program plus 2 years of biomedical engineering program. Okay, and another you know, the intervention which was carried out not only in Duxon, but I think most of the universities in developed countries, is the data science courses. You know, the commencement of data science courses. These are the multidisciplinary courses where not only nurses, but engineers, even the doctors, medical professionals, pharmacists, everybody can participate. The informational specialists, they all can participate into this particular course. Now, what was the outcome is that because of this kind of courses, the newer and prominent roles could get created. You know, the chief nursing information officer, chief information officer, chief clinical informatics officer. So it added the layers to our existing nursing roles, and the prominence, or even, you know, some, I would say that the central position when it comes to the deployment of the technology. Now, when you look at this kind of curricular innovations, what are some of the enablers that facilitated this kind of growth mindset? You know, interprofessional and multidisciplinary approach. Even those who have read and those who know about the NEP 2020, that is National Education Policy 2020, emphasizes a lot about interprofessional multidisciplinary approach. See, what we are teaching to our students in the classroom, I think after this 20 years, I don't think that the bed making is going to happen in a similar manner. The sponge bath is going to happen in a similar manner. It has already transformed. Or even the medication administration is going to be a similar manner. So we concentrate, at present, what is a gap? We concentrate on the competencies. But what should we concentrate on? You know, and NEP talks about it very loud and clear, and gives a very loud and clear message to all of us as a professionals that we need to teach them the skills. Okay, what are those skills? The adaptation skills, communication skills, okay, also to learn from the various professionals, you know, the problem solving skills, the critical thinking skills. And it would not happen if we stick ourselves only to the nursing professions, professional knowledge, or if we only read the nursing books. So it would come when we have a wide awareness about the world outside the nursing. And interprofessional and multidisciplinary approach is a key to have that, or to key to at least to initiate that kind of strategies, or those kind of interventions in the present circumstances. Also, we can have positive role models through technology champions and clinical system facilitators. You create a post of chief nursing information officer. I think the nurses definitely, the nurses would get aware about this kind of possibilities, this kind of career ladder, career progression, and they will also serve as a positive role model for integrating of the technology. So the technology champions and clinical system facilitators, for this you can have your own in-house structured training, okay, and you make this make them available 24/7 or on call, so that the integration of technology is very easy and handholding happens in a much better and facilitative manner. Then the last one is curricular and pedagogical innovation. What I have told, we should not, I think there needs to be a paradigm shift in the light of NEP 2020. It is not giving an information, disseminating an information, or taking a class, or even developing a competency. It is very important that we train. Mind training is very important. So we need to emphasize on the skills, what they will require in near future. 20 competencies will keep on changing. The way we are doing procedure will not be the same after 20 years, after 25 years. But a nurse who are coming out of nursing school still may be practicing in the clinical area. She should be able to adapt to those kind of circumstances. So the training of minds is very important. So the pedagogical innovation, at present, nursing engineer course can be in your vision document or a strategic plan of your organization. Okay, next 10 or 15 years. Then the great example 4, challenge 4, insufficient or organizational support. Now this is, I have talked about the examples worldwide, from America, from NHS Trust Hospital, again US, UK, all those, and again we have an example from Australia. So all these are developed countries. So I thought, let me share our own example, how we combated this particular problem at our own college. Okay, so what you require? Indigenous solution. Every time we cannot, the college like us, we cannot invest that substantially or significantly in proportion to our budget for technological advancement. So there is some kind of financial barrier, but still the curriculum requirements need to be met. So can we have some kind of out-of-box thinking for indigenous solution? So the place of my college, what we did, indigenous solution, the solutions which were made for meeting the curricular requirements, which again kept on changing. The context is, we need an integrated management information system to meet the varied curricular requirement, because curricular requirement, although given by the syllabus is given by the prescribed central is been prescribed by the central council, but when it comes to the university, the adaptation is done, or the expectations are varied. When it comes to an institution, based on our own vision, mission, and philosophy, the expectations are different. When we go for accreditation by the external agencies, the requirements are different. So we needed to have an integrated management information system. So what was the challenge? We had a present system of both administrative as well as the learning management system, but that required a system upgradation to meet these varied and fast evolving requirements, and it was definitely an expensive for us. So what was done? We thought of having an indigenous solution using the open source system. Okay, and this was not in 2020 or 2021. It was way back in 2017, and we presented this particular interventions in Avishkar, the university level research convention, and it was acknowledged at that particular forum. We put forth this concept of virtual university in way back 2017, before even the COVID, anybody could think about COVID and virtual classrooms. So what were the outcomes? Blended programs. At present, we have 2 blended programs with, the satisfactory kind of seat fulfillment or the seat occupancy. We created our own system of program outcome, course outcome, and program specific outcome tracker, which is very responsive, which will be available to all of us. Okay, stress alert system for early identification of students experiencing high stress. So an escalation matrix using the open source open source solution free of cost, where the student who is experiencing the higher level of stress was the alert was given to the respective mentor or a class coordinator, and Of late, what we also introduced is a digital student experience encounter, that is digital C. Okay, now when you look at all these examples, all these papers, some of these papers were published and also acknowledged into the national and university-wide forums. What were some of the enablers that facilitated this kind of, the indigenous solution mindset? Instead of looking for the solutions outside, why not to look the solution what is there inside? Why not to look for the solutions which are economical and which for which we don't have to be dependent on an external agency. So what we created again in way back 2017 is a core team for IT. Again, it is a multidisciplinary team, faculty, non-teaching, a representative from biomedical, developed a roadmap. It was IT vision which was developed, and irrespective of the age, irrespective of the experience, the digital literacy program or the refresher module for the digital literacy program was made compulsory. Are you understanding this? So it was the system is there, but we don't have people trained to use the system. The system will not be used, and it would lose once it loses its utility, it will become of no use and it will become obsolete in your organization. So this kind of reinforcement training or the refresher courses every year, right, starting from the apex to the front level teacher, everybody has to undergo this kind of module. So I think these are the facilitators which help us to develop that kind of culture at our college. Now the challenge 5, creating culture of digital professionalism. All of us, especially in nursing, we struggle with this. So getting start right. So the responsibility is with us, those who are working at college, and responsibility is with the nurse administrator, those who are working with when they receive the nurses during their transition period. Now, again, there are no case studies with regard to this, but then I thought of sharing a possible solution, which was proposed by School of Nursing, University of Tasmania, Australia. So the author over here, they propose this 4E3P digital professionalism model introduction into the existing curriculum. What was the context? Urgent need for current registered nurses to master using digital technology and model digital professionalism. Like most of the time, the mobile phones are banned for nurses, but not for other healthcare workers. So challenge, what was the challenge? Access to and use of digital technology by nurses in Australia lags behind other professions. Are you understanding this? This was a challenge, and which all of us know here also we are experiencing it. How other professionals can use the mobile. We do not have that kind of freedom. But again, why we do not have that kind of freedom? Because somewhere we lack, or there is somewhere the digital professionalism is not ingrained into us. So it would not definitely get ingrained. There has to be a deliberate effort to imbibe or to inculcate that digital professionalism. So what was done at this particular university is that 4E3P digital professionalism model implementation. Okay, so what this is a model, again I'm telling you, they have not done it. It is a possibility. So again, from this particular forum, this can be a sensitization. We can go through this particular model, and can we have a value-added program on digital professionalism where we equip our student nurses, or where we equip our nurses who are in a transition period to model a sound digital behavior, so that even they will have an access to the data as the other professionals. So this is about the digital professionalism. And the last one is the possible side effects. So possible side effects, mainly the alert fatigue. Alert fatigue, everybody knows about it. Like, when you use the integrated clinical information system, every time the alert goes to the clinician, alert goes to the nurses, and sometimes these alerts may not be very significant. But what happens, similarly as alarm fatigue, you get fatigued with this kind of alerts, and there is a possibility that you will miss an important alert, and it will have an impact on the patient condition. So what is the solution? Try to identify the problems which may occur with the digitalization, the problems on the health behavior, okay, or on the personal behavior, and provide anticipatory solution and the guidance. So the alert fatigue possible solution, there was a mention of quality improvement program on reducing electronic health record notification undertaken by the organization. So they rolled out the strategies by which, how the 6-step strategies by which, under this particular quality improvement program, like which of the parameters will get collated, okay, what would be the level of the parameters. Beyond that or below that, only the alert will go to the clinician. Are you understanding this? So they re-engineered that kind of, the clinical integrated clinical information system and reduced, and it again had a positive impact. Simulation sickness, especially when you use a virtual reality and augmented reality, not so. What is a possible solution which I have told you? You may not use a virtual reality, augmented reality, but can we have a low-cost devices and softwares which can be developed by nurses and educators, and we can integrate into the existing mobile, internet, and other digital technology. So very rarely we may use VR, AR only when it is required, or the limited use of it is required. Otherwise, we can use this kind of low-cost strategies that will help us to overcome the simulation sickness also. So lastly, creating culture of digitalization in nursing. What the lessons learned from this, all these 6 case studies, experiences, the experience sharing, the possibilities, okay, and our own case study at Hinduja College of Nursing. First thing, reform in nursing education. We are preparing a nurses who are going to work 20 years after from here in the clinical area, 20 years after, 2040, 45. So many of changes must have already occurred. Okay, so data science, digital professionalism, always be on a lookout whether there is any kind of addition with regard to the information integration of technology is required in the existing curriculum. Okay, so that is one thing. Concept of virtual university, what I've talked in 2017, what we proposed at Avishkar, it is coming true. So again, we need to think, forecast little beyond the time, and it will happen only with interdisciplinary approach. When we look or when we concentrate only read from our books, this kind of wider perspectives very rarely gets developed. Lead the digital movement. So again, as a nurse administrator, you can create a position, project lead. Again, these are the positions may not incur the finances, but it will give that kind of satisfaction or boost the self-esteem of nurses. Or clinical nurse information officer. Embrace digital and information competencies. So what are these competencies? Right from the first year of nursing curriculum, I think it should happen. With my experience, what I understood, it is not very important what we teach to the students or what we disseminate to the students. It is very important. We have to create a culture by which they know what is right and they select what is right, because there is no dearth of information, there is no dearth of knowledge. What we need to train them is that to select what is right and select what is going to be beneficial for them. Okay, so what are some of the competencies? Determine the nature and extent of information what is required. Access, how we can access the information which is authentic, which is valid, how we can evaluate this particular information, and how we can evaluate the outcomes related to this information. Develop interprofessional communication. When we have this kind of interprofessional communication or an approach, we always think what can be applied, what I can apply from engineering, what I can apply. There must be something which is happening in IT department. Can I be applied? There must be something happening in hardcore educational general education institutions. Can be applying to the nursing educations for this interprofessional communication, and the forums of interprofessional communications need to be created and definitely stay relevant. The compassionate cares amidst technological advancements. So I think these are the 5 key take homes from this session based on the case studies, experiences, and the possibilities what we encountered so far. Lastly, don't let high technology replace the high touch. Your customers may appreciate both. So it is our responsibility is to equip ourselves in both, rendering compassionate care amidst the high technology. Thank you very much. And thank you, Holy Spirit College of Nursing, and in specific Sister Lalita, for giving this wonderful opportunity to disseminate the whatever I had the experience about leveraging the technology at our college with a wider gathering. Thank you.
Madam, for enlightening us with your lesson, Cultivating Culture in Nursing Through Digitalization. This learning will undoubtedly aid in our integration of cutting-edge pedagogical approach to deliver element of digital-based education. Now, the forum is open for discussion. Ma'am, there are 4 questions which are similar, ma'am. First question is, how can we enhance the digital professionalism when nurses are not allowed it to use mobile in the clinicals?
Okay, so I think which I answered this particular question. I understand that there is a need for us to use the mobile phone, but why this we have to, again, there is a concept called as a professional identity. Okay, who creates a professional identity? We ourselves. Okay, so if we show a digitally appropriate digital behavior, I think, and all the nurses show that, and we create that kind of identification or a professional identity with regard to the appropriate digital behavior, nobody would have an issue with regard to the utilization of the mobile. But I think at present that appropriate digital behavior is not been projected or is not been exhibited by most of us, and therefore it has not yet become a part of our professional identity. Now, to answer to your question, we cannot go for complete no for mobile. We need a start. Are you understanding this? So this need of the start, or this we have to start right from the beginning. Therefore, I propose this kind of solution, like how we teach first year students or the nurses in transition. In your induction or the orientation program, there is a session on how the communication. Okay, the actual communication with the patient, communication with the healthcare workers. Similarly, we can have this digital professionalism session, okay, where you take care of, what is appropriate digital professionalism behavior, when and how to be mobile to be used, and what circumstances mobile to be used. Okay, so all those etiquettes and etiquettes can be taught to this particular structured program. You can pilot this, okay, and after piloting this, you see whether there is any improvement, and based on that, you can make it as a policy for uses. But I think we are the only one who can drive these changes. We show through our behavior that we use our handset only for the patient care or for, for the clinical decision making, and not for the personal use. I think no administrator would have an issue. But as what you said, the start, any start is a difficult, and we need to do a start. And for that, we may have to start. This is what we have to hit on the root cause of it. What is the root cause? We are not training you about for the digital professionalism. So it is our responsibility to train you for the digital professionalism. It is your responsibility to exhibit that behavior. And I think then we can access a mobile.
Ma'am, there is another question, that is, can digitalization reduce the workforce?
Okay, very nice question, and I must congratulate for that who have asked this question. We think that when the digitalization occur, we think that there is going to be a downsizing. Okay, there is going to be the cut, the manpower cut. But if you see and what NEP talks about, and you have a reading about this particular subject, there are some professions which are going to be immune for this cut. Are you understanding this? And the nursing or the healthcare professional is one among them. Okay, and the teaching professional, there are many other. Okay, but the nursing professional is one among them. However, we need to be different. Are you understanding this? Now, at present, we concentrate how beautifully we make the bed, how beautifully we how clean sponge bath we give. Are you understanding this? How we meet the nutritional need? Because I teach in college, I know that our emphasis is on all these aspects. Are you understanding this? These are the skills definitely will get mundane, or these mundane skills will definitely get replaced or obsolete. Are you understanding this? What will still remain is a critical thinking. Are you understanding this? The clinical judgment. A nurse who has got a clinical judgment would never ever be able to replace the robot. Are you understanding this? So what is required over here is that it will not have a cut on the manpower. But are you understanding this? But some of the skill sets are definitely going to get obsolete. Okay, so what is our responsibility? It's to identify the newer skill set, what we will require 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, and try to reskill, try to upskill ourselves in those skill sets. I think then we will not become a replaceable, and definitely nursing will not become a replaceable by virtue of clinical judgment and critical thinking. Okay, and that human touch, very importantly. I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Ma'am, one final question is there.
Yes.
what extent we can maintain patient safety and confidentiality.
Okay, patient safety and confidentiality. Let me share an experience from Hinduja Hospital. And I think not only Hinduja Hospital, all NABH accredited hospitals definitely will have that kind of, the litigations or that kind of formalities to be completed. Our hospital have undergone an accreditation specifically for the IT services. Okay, so what are some of the strategies over there? And I will share one of the QIP undertaken by the assistant director nurse who is working in Hinduja Hospital. With due credit to her, I will explain that also. See, what are some of the strategies what we can undertake? First thing is that your IT department, let them go for an accreditation. What is an advantage of the accreditation? It will become mandatory for them to reinforce some of the strategies for preserving the confidentiality and promoting the patient safety. For example, automatic log off. Are you understanding this? Then the dedicated login and password. Are you understanding this? Change of the regular change of the password. Are you understanding this? Then you have a system, like the password lock system. Nobody else would have an access to it. Are you understanding this? So this solutions lies with them. Okay, second thing, what we can do it is that again, we can sensitize the people. When we talk about the privacy, we talk about the physical privacy, but the information privacy and the digital privacy also should be included when you sensitize the newer nurses, or it has to be a part of your informal, it has to be a part of in-service education. Now, what was a QIP which was undertaken at Hinduja Hospital and which was presented at in a last annual research meet, even this was an issue. I agree. This is an issue. Confidentiality, safety is an issue. I totally agree to this. So what was the problem over there is that nurses could have an access. See, what used to happen is that if it is open, you are indenting something for the patient. If it is open, somebody else could go and indent on behalf of that particular nurse. Are you understanding this? And there was an issue with regard to this. Now, who's thought about this particular issue? I'll tell you, she was a nurse who was working on the floor. When she got this kind of incidences, she reflected on that particular incidences, responded to these incidences. She escalated to the manager. Then they developed this particular QIP with the help of integrating with IT, collaborating with IT. They created a dedicated system of, strengthening the password this. And when they rolled out, this unauthorized access was minimized and it was shown and it was projected in the result analysis. So these are certain strategies you can think. We have to think it is our problem. We need to deal with our problem. And I think from that, what I understood from her presentation is that they identified the problem. They didn't think that it is an IT department problem. They thought it is the nursing department. It is a problem with my patient. They escalated it in a right manner and they found a solution.
Thank you, madam, for sharing your experience with us and the management.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, participant, for asking the question.
Thank you, Ria.
We'll move on to our third session. Tech-savvy nurse, a dexterous adventure. We are fortunate to have Mrs. Bobby Ramesh, a well-known speaker, as a third session to learn more. Let me take the pleasure to introduce Madam Bobby. She is currently working as a Director of Nursing at Continental Hospital. She is also NABH Panel Assessor Quality Manager and Hospital Administration, and also a part of JCI. She has done her BSc Nursing from the Armed Force Medical College in Pune, Executive Program in General Management from IIM in Raipur, MBA in Healthcare Services Management, and PG Diploma in Hospital Administration with a wealth of experience spanning 25 years in nursing, quality, and hospital administration. She is a faculty for training program connected to NABH and nursing excellence. She has a strong sense of teamwork and believe in setting example. She has done an MBA in health management from Sikkim Manipal University in 2017. She has also completed a PG diploma in hospital administration from Apollo Hospital Education and Research Foundation, Hyderabad, 2008. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I hope all can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that introduction and greetings from Continental Hospitals. It's my pleasure to be in the midst of all these students and the faculty members from Holy Spirit and across other hospitals from India as well as from Philippines. First of all, I'd like to thank the management of Holy Spirit Institution for having invited me for this session, which is the need of the hour. So without much ado, I'd like to share my screen. So my previous speakers are already touched on the digital evolvement in terms of computers in healthcare and in across other industries. What are the positive aspects? What are the disadvantages? And what are the various aspects related to digital transformation? And what are the requirements from the nurses' end as well? Now, I'll be talking about the tech-savvy nurses, a dexterous adventure. Tech in nursing is nothing new. Since 1970s, computers have been used in hospitals and clinics mainly for administrative purposes. However, in the past decade, there is a changing emphasis towards the role of tech because we are primarily focusing on the patient care. So all the development of new, yeah.
Can you just start the slide share? Presentation.
So presentation is being shared, right?
Yes, a slide share you add.
Yeah, I put it in slide share only.
Whole screen.
Yeah, it's in slide. Yeah, it's in slide share only.
Slide show you do, ma'am.
No, slide show only. This is presently in slide show only.
I'm zoom it.
So just a second.
Ma'am, it's in down icon.
Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
Now? No?
There is the icon down where you have to zoom in.
Ma'am, you have to
Is
put
this
slide show.
fine? Fine?
Ma'am, you have to select slideshow.
No, I have selected slideshow now. This is in slideshow mode. That is Zoom, she's telling. It's in Zoom.
Ma'am, please press F5 key.
F5.
F5.
Okay. So we'll start again. Just give me a moment. I'll stop the share and I'll share it again.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it fine now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Now, sorry for that interruption. So I'd be talking about tech-savvy nurses, a dexterous adventure. It's not working. Yeah. So tech in nursing is nothing new. We had been using it earlier for administrative purposes. But however, in the past decade, there is a lot of emphasis towards the role of tech in the clinical process. So in nursing, the primary focus is in the development of new healthcare technology related to patient care. And information technology is also changing rapidly, including in healthcare, which is creating new challenges and opportunities for our nurses as well. When we say tech savvy, savvy means being proficient in the use of modern technology, especially computers. And tech savvy nurses means the nurses need to be very proficient in the use of technology and also the computers as well. Why technology is important in nursing? Because technology is transforming nursing. Anywhere now, if you go to a modern hospital, one of the prerequisites is you need to have the basic skills to operate a computer. You need to know MS Excel. You need to know how to make a PowerPoint. You need to know MS Word. So everybody expects nurses to navigate through the electronic medical records. Nurses should be tech savvy. So tech savvy nurses have a lot of opportunity in landing up jobs in hospitals which have a lot of healthcare technology in place, like in our hospital. Because our hospital is one of the first hospital in one of the few hospitals in the country way back in 2013, where everything was EMR. It was a paperless hospital. Because of technology, nurses are able to spend more time with patients, reduce the number of errors, because it becomes more accurate when you are using EMR facilities, retrieve more information, and you can do research on evidence-based practices, which will boost your efficiency, and also this improves the patient safety as well. So within the past decade, there is so much of advances in the nursing field, not only abroad, even in our country as well. Many hospitals in the country, I am lucky to have visited being an NABH assessor. So apart from a desktop, people use computer on wheels. When they go with the doctor for rounds or when they go at the patient bedside, they use COWS, computer on wheels. My infection control nurses or educators, they use their tablet PCs. And also in some of the hospitals, you have RFID radio frequency identification enabled devices for medication administration as well. So the health field is evolving and it is becoming more advanced. So when there is a constant change, it is time for the nurses to embrace it. When we embrace changes, we become more successful. If you have knowledge on the new technologies, you have an advantage of landing new jobs. In India, it is yet to start, but in foreign countries, nurses have they have options to choose when they are working in a hospital as a nurse informatics officer, chief nursing informatics officer, etc. Even in our hospital, we have created a role for a nurse informatics officer. In modern nursing, as I'd already mentioned, one of the prerequisites is computer skills, because computer technology plays a significant role in almost all aspects of nursing. Like, for example, performing assessments and monitoring patients' progress. You have electronic health records, your digital thermometer, digital BP apparatus, and then your electronic health record, wherein you enter, you can see all the data of the patients. As I mentioned earlier, so once you scan the barcode of the patient, you can also know what drugs the patient is on and what is the dosage of the drugs, so that correctly you can administer drugs, and various other technologies as well. Now, coming to the benefits of being tech savvy or having a tech savvy organization, it helps reduce operational cost. One of the audience asked in the chat box whether it will help reduce operational cost or help reduce staffing. Definitely, it will help reduce operational cost. Initially, we may be spending some money on the software, but then in the long run, it helps reduce your cost, your supplies, and your time and energy as well. You have access to all the information. A nurse has an access to record. In our hospital, we have a system called PACS, through which the doctors and nurses, everybody can check through the lab reports of the patient, the ultrasound, the CT scan reports and the MRI images as well when it is being done immediately. So there's no wastage of time that the investigation is done and then the report is carried to the doctor and then the doctor has to tell the nurse what to do. No, in real time, they get these reports. And so that reduces your time as well. When I tell about operational cost, in the larger picture, when I say, for the hospital, for example, in our hospital, we have a software called Building Management System. This Building Management System software helps one to sit and navigate using the software, all the ACs, AHU units, your temperature and humidity across the hospitals, across the departments. So that has helped reduce the manpower in our hospital, in the maintenance department as well. In nursing, there are softwares to do the duty rota, to do manpower planning. So one manpower is not required to be wasted to sit and do the manpower planning as well as to do a duty rota as well. So when you have an access to information in one place, so it is easy for you to intervene promptly and to manage the patient effectively, so that to prevent any complications which promotes patient safety. It helps in care coordination, because if you have an EMR, medical record is available at the same time, a doctor can access, the nurse can access, the dietitian can have her access, unlike you have a hard copy wherein only one person can write at a time. If you have an EMR, everybody can access it and there is a better care coordination, and these all leads to better patient safety as well. Now, when we talk about the benefits, comes the drawbacks also when we are using a technology. Though we say it reduces, our workload, nevertheless, if one is not tech savvy, then they spend a lot of time on the computer, which leads to ineffective communication with the patients and reduced patient interaction. Sometimes this ineffective communication happens when you have WhatsApp and you're communicating with your doctor over the WhatsApp or over the mail and giving updates, and the doctor gives you updates, than having a real interaction with each other. So sometimes it becomes frustrating as well. And also there is a risk for breach of privacy. When all the data are available, until and unless we have appropriate checks in place to maintain the confidentiality and the privacy of the records, anybody and everybody can have an access to the patient records, which can be misused. There are various skills required for tech savviness. Apart from your critical thinking and problem solving skills, you need to have the ability to use and maintain the equipment icon. You need to be computer literate. You need to be able to retrieve the data as well and to give inputs also. And also you need to have attention to details. So definitely in every hospital or in every college, we will have some nurses or some students who are very tech savvy and others struggle too. So these are few of the skills. If we are computer literate, even if you are computer literate, if we improve upon our skills in areas where it is required, it helps us use the softwares what we are using optimally without leading us to frustration, and it will help us promptly give in our inputs and also to retrieve data as well. Now coming to various apps for nurses, there are hospitals where I go where I see apps are being used in the mobiles. One of the previous speaker mentioned that whether mobiles can be allowed, because many hospitals have restriction of mobiles. Now, as responsible nurses, we need to have exercise how to use the mobiles, and during working hours, we do not use it for personal purposes. Now, many hospitals have these apps wherein nurses can directly log into. In our country, in North India, in Delhi, when I've gone, I've seen in one of the leading hospitals where in the nurses app only, in everybody in their mobile, they have the app. Through the app only at the patient's bedside, they are entering nurses' notes, nursing care plan, whatever nursing assessment has to be entered, everything they are entering through their mobile phones only. So that also helps save time when you don't have adequate computers or you don't have adequate tablets. And there are hospitals where I visited where nurses do not know much of English, but their care plan writing is very good because internally, with the help of their IT team, they have developed software, and with the software, they have developed reference material for their care plans, wherein based on the department where they are working, from the drop-down box, the nursing diagnosis, what are the interventions, and the plan of care comes down, and the nurses are trained to select that. Only the evaluation of the outcomes they need to enter there. So that makes it easier for nurses to save time on documentation, and also it is error-free than writing with spelling mistakes and grammatical mistakes. And when we go for audits also, it is very impressive. Oh, they do not know much of English, but correctly they choose the diagnosis, correctly they choose the intervention, and correctly they enter the evaluation or outcome. So nurses need to be trained on all these as well. Now, there are few apps available in Apple Store and Google Play Store. This is some of the few apps. I am not a big fan of all these apps, but nevertheless, when I was given this topic, so I went Google searching. So there are a lot of apps available. There is a Medscape, which is a free app, and this app offers a library of over 6,200 reference article where nurses can share and discuss patient challenges and network with other medical professionals. This app also includes clinical tools like drug interaction checker, pill identifier, and multiple medication calculator. So in our hospital, we use Medscape for checking the drug calculation and also drug interaction checking. It is used both by the nurses as well as by the doctors, which is meant for nurses. It offers more than 56,000 medical terms and 4,000 entries on medication and 9,000 images. Then there is a nurses Pocket Guide app. So in the Pocket Guide app, there is a quick reference to over 440 medical conditions with their associated nursing diagnosis. Then there is a resuscitation app and a full code emergency room simulator app, which using a virtual simulation platform, it provides patient scenarios where you have to administer care. Different cases presented may require you to perform physical exam or put the patient on a monitor. The app scores you on your decisions and provides a detailed debrief of your performance. Now, when we talk about apps, there are apps for your core, medical use and for non-medical usage as well. So there is a app called Happify app, which is used by the nurses. Especially after this COVID pandemic, everybody are going through lots of pressures and lot of stress. So this Happify features games and short activities aimed at reducing stress and encouraging positive behaviors such as thankfulness. It also tracks your mood over time, and you can get a full scope view of how your job may be impacting your mental health. So those who are hearing me can just go there and download this Happify or Calm. There is another app called Calm also. So you can download this app to reduce your stress levels when you're free. And there is an app called Mint. Mint isn't specifically for nurses, but then it is a trusted app for personal finance management. You can monitor your bank account, your bills, your loans, and your investment. It also helps you send you reminder when bills are due. And also this app has a budget advice and money saving tips so that you can keep your spending habits in check. So these are interesting apps which nurses can try using this. Before I conclude, I would want to again just go through whatever I've told earlier. I mentioned that tech-savvy nurses is the need of the hour. every hospital requires tech-savvy nurses because they land jobs easier than non-tech-savvy nurses, be it for administering medication or assessing the patient or entering their progress. You need to be tech-savvy. And being a tech-savvy nurse, you have your challenges as well. There are benefits of having technology and there are challenges. However, benefits are more. And with all these benefits and with changing technology, we also have to keep upgrading and upskilling ourselves, which the previous speakers had already mentioned. Some of the softwares which we use in our hospital, I already mentioned. Once again, I'd like to say, we use PACS, we use COUS. We have a clinical decision support system to improve healthcare diagnosis delivery by Elsevier in our hospital, which our doctors use for decision making. And CDSS by Walter Kluwer is there for avoiding medication errors. In my previous organization at Apollo Hospitals, Hyderabad, we have a electronic drug dispensing system called Pyxis. Now, Pyxis also is being used in one of my previous organization group hospitals in Mount Elizabeth, Singapore, wherein the nurses use the system of Pyxis to dispense as well as to administer medications for the patients without much of medication error. You have to use your patient's barcoding. So only that drawer will open with the required quantity of the correct medication. So it is electronically managed. If the nurses are trained well, it correctly can be used. At the same time, you cannot be using two different barcodes, one patient at a time. If you are using a particular drawer open or particular drawers open with the correct dose and the correct drug. So Pyxis is being used in Apollo Hyderabad in their oncology wing as well. And then I mentioned about radio RFID devices used in some of the hospitals to prevent medication errors. And also for quality data capturing, incident reporting. And we have a software called Sempia for collecting patient feedback, which are used by our nursing department also, because in the Sempia, whatever complaint the patient gives, everything gets collated. We don't have to sit and waste our time on data collation and analysis. And then online ticket raising. If there is any complaint related to any department or maintenance, immediately a nurse can raise online ticketing and immediately they come for prompt intervention as well. So that saves a lot of time. Having said that, with all this new technology, there are chances of error. If you all Google search, in the recent past in Singapore, one of the nurse in the infusion pump, the decimal she placed wrongly and the patient was administered 100 times more dosage and the patient died. Recently, in 2017, a nurse was convicted and sent to jail, though they were using an electronic drug dispensing system. Because of medication error, the patient died and she is sentenced to jail. So nurses have to be trained to adapt to the technology well. At the same time, they need to be very skillful and they need to be careful while using these technologies, because if you're not careful, it can lead to error and it will compromise patient safety as well. So as in future, nurse is going to require more advancing skills and training. It is mandate that these trainings start from nursing colleges itself. So when they come to the hospital, we do not have to train them from the basics. And when they come to the hospitals, they become more comfortable in adapting to these technologies. In most of the hospitals where it is EMR system, staff are put on training for a month to get used to all these technology. It is important to treat these advancement with an open mind. One of the first speakers spoke whether it is a eustress or a distress. She mentioned that though the youngsters say it is a eustress, the oldies feel that it is a distress. But I differ in my opinion, though I feel that many of the old generation nurses are very tech savvy. It is very surprising. They have become very tech savvy in managing their Excel and their patient rota and many other things. Even I can tell my mom does a lot of video gaming and apping in her mobile than me. I'm not so well versed. So it's all in your mindset. And it's all how the institution also develop a culture to train all your nurses for this advancement in technology. And as already the previous speaker had mentioned, there are a lot of advancements. I'm not going into the details. There are genomics, there are robots. Now robotic surgeons are in great demand. I hope robots will be there to, robots are used in restaurants instead of waiters to deliver food. So there can be robots also to assist the nurses to do non-nursing care jobs. There can be AI-based voice solution to help nurses, for which, for taking care of patients and their, non-nursing related jobs or non-nursing related solutions. Yeah, voice-based AI solutions can be used. And I hope soon these medical robots will come to. Medical robots are already used in India during COVID time also for screening the patients. It was used. Medical robots are used in one of the hospital in Kerala, which helps navigate, help the patient to go through various departments. You don't need a guide. The robot helps guide. So I hope robots also will come for helping the nurse so that they can do non-nursing care job, and the nurse can, concentrate on nursing care with this high attrition and shortage. I'd like to conclude by saying that no more I can't, no more it's too hard, no more I'm too tired, no more waiting for it to get easier. You can become a tech-savvy nurse. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Madam, for assisting us in comprehending the digital process and enabling nurses to use information technology system to analyze practice-related outcome for the improvement of practice and patient care. Ma'am, there are many questions asked by our delegates, but due to time constraint, we would be choosing only one question.
Yeah, voice.
How to maintain IPR with patient while using technology in hospital setting?
How to?
How to maintain IPR with patient using technology in hospital setting?
How to maintain IPR when we maintain technology. That though we use technology, care, communication, and compassion, that is the core of nursing. So using computers doesn't mean, or using technology doesn't mean that, IPR cannot be maintained. We can promptly maintain IPR, especially with your other members of the healthcare team. With regard to the patient's condition, you can update your doctors on time. You can WhatsApp your team members on time for various tasks, and also translators. When we say everybody don't speak the same language, patients too. I forgot to tell about that. There are apps which uses different languages, for translation. So it's not so difficult to maintain IPR, but nevertheless, some feel that, some old people having old school of thought, they feel that, nurses spend a lot of time in the computers, so they are not able to maintain good IPR, or they are not able to spend time with the patients much. But that's not true. If you are very tech savvy and everything is comprehensive, you need to spend less time on the computers, everything real time. When you go to the patient, you enter that, and with your other interdepartmental team members, your IPR and collaboration will be better, because you have this WhatsApp group in which you help each other, you alert each other, you notify each other. So that all helps to grow more closer, to collaborate better as a healthcare team members, and to develop better IPR with each other.
Thank you, Madam, and the delegates. Moving on to our last session, eliminate distress and embrace eustress. We are privileged to have Mrs. Jennifer Tavares as a fourth speaker. I felt honored to list down the smartness of Madam.
Many new things we learn.
She's founder and the director of Pledge Academy, a center for counseling, special education, and training for women, children, and adolescents. She's a qualified, devoted nurse, counselor, special education, teacher, trainer, and presenter. She is also an outstanding communication ability. She has worked with adults, parents, teachers, kids, and teenagers to strengthen their mental health and resilience over the years, using her experience and knowledge in the progress. She's a Vice President, WICCI Special Need Council, Karnataka. Madam is a part-time lecturer in psychology and counseling at St. John National. She has been the part-time special educator at the Spastic Society of Karnataka, Bangalore. She has also completed National Law Accredited Training, Child Teenager Building Resilience, Australia. She had done her diploma in community mental health, nurses, NIMHANS, and a post-graduation diploma in child rights law, national law, School of University, Bangalore. So I request Madam to continue the session.
Thank you so much, Ria, and thank you to Sister Lalita and Sister Lizzie for inviting me to take this forward. First of all, let me say that I'm so happy to see Sister Lalita today. It's been a 20 years journey for her, from a student to the principal of the College of Nursing. My journey of nursing started in Bombay, now called as Mumbai. And I worked in one of the first hospitals, that's Breach Candy Hospital, which had actually started, and side by side Hinduja Hospital, which had started digitalization of records way back in 1993. Okay, so it all started then. And today my topic with you is eliminate distress and embrace eustress. But before I share my PPT and go into any discussion, I'm going to request a few of you to switch on your videos and let's do one activity. Sister Lalita has saved the best for last, so I have to take one break with you and do an activity. So those of you who are able to switch on your videos, please do that. Okay, a few of you have. Yes, let's have some fun. We can't de-stress without having fun, all right? Very good. Okay, I can see a lot of you with your videos on. I'm going to request you all to stand up. Don't worry how you all look. It's only me looking at you all in the camera. I'm going to request all of you to stand up and to do this activity along with me. Okay? So once I tell you to do something, I'm going to give you 4 or 5 instructions. Once I give you all these instructions, you all have to keep doing that and the next instruction. Did you all follow? I'm going to give you one instruction. When I give you the second instruction, you have to keep doing the first one also. Then when I give you the third instruction, you have to keep doing instruction 1 and 2 and then do instruction 3. Done? All right, are we ready? Let's have some fun. Okay. And the first instruction is, can you stand using only your right leg, which means your left leg should be up. I can't see, so you all can cheat, but I'm asking you all. All right, very good. I can see you all doing it. So all of you will be using your right leg to stand on. Very good. Everyone's fine? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, pick up any object which is around you, a water bottle, but not your phone, anything else, a water bottle or a book or anything, pick it up and hold it in your right hand. Hold it in your right hand.
Very difficult.
Oh, very difficult. Okay. Okay. So you're standing on your right leg, holding something in your right hand. Now put your left hand on your head. Use your left hand and put it on your head. How are we doing?
Right leg up.
Right leg, holding something, hand on the head. Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone doing fine?
Yes.
Yes, so far so good. Okay, now doing all these 3, I want you to pick up your phone and send a message to your best friend.
My God.
What happened? What happened? What happened? This is what digital nursing is, right? Give medication with one hand, use the gadget with right hand, stand on one leg and give CPR.
Difficult.
Okay, okay. All of you, y'all can stop doing that. Did anyone
Thank you.
Did anyone manage to get the phone and do something?
By mouth we took it.
You sent the message, Sister Lalita? Okay. What did you all understand? What did you all understand? Yeah, all of you can stop doing the activity and sit down and maybe unmute and tell me what did you all feel? What did you all think?
Nurses can do multiple job at a time, same time.
Absolutely. I agree with you on that, right? We are the one of the only, I think the only professions besides mothers who can multitask like that. Yes, we can. But had I made you to do, if I had to make you do that for a longer period of time, what would have happened?
It would be difficult.
No.
Yeah. Yes, quietly you would have switched off your video and done your own thing, right?
Can, we
Possible
can,
on time. Yes.
cannot manage all the activities at a time.
Cannot manage all the activities, or maybe you can, but maybe not as efficiently as you might like it, right?
Yes.
And if you
Yes,
continue like that, I'm sure we are all going to reach distress levels.
yes.
Yes. Okay. So that was just to make you get up and get activated, because listening to something, that's something the digital screen does to all of us. So let's take on embrace stress. I mean, not embrace, eliminate distress and embrace eustress. So I trust that all of you can see my screen. It's a repetition of the points, but I'm just going to package it from a stress point of view. Okay.
Yes, miss.
All right. So what do we understand by stress? Anybody? I try to make you all experience that. Yes.
Kind of mental pressure.
Very good. A mental pressure coming from
Work.
work. All right. So a situation coming from some situation, or it could be a demanding situation. Okay.
The need of the hour.
The need of the hour is, you're saying, this topic. All right. So stress is any stressor that brings about mental tension. Now we are working with an assumption today that maybe sometimes digital technology brings on stress for nurses, and therefore we are here to discuss how we can eliminate this digi stress and embrace it and make it as a eustress. What is eustress? Eustress is good stress, beneficial stress. It helps our body to function better. Okay, so that's eustress, and distress is where we are extremely anxious about something because we are struggling to use something in the workplace. Okay, so that's the topic for today, and let's go ahead. We've done the activity already. And does anybody else want to share any other learning from the activity? Okay, somebody is saying it's difficult to do more than 2 activities at one time. All right, so thank you for that. That's in the chat box. And definitely when we have digital things to use in the hospital, there's an expectation that we can do things faster. I'll come to that in a bit. Let's move to the next slide. Some digital functions done by nurses. I'm not going to get into this in detail, but what I saw, the previous speakers, right from speaker 1 till the last speaker, Bobby ma'am, all of them have spoken about the different digital functions that can be done by nurses. I've just put down here a few. Okay, monitoring devices, charting, records, handing over, uploading photos of patients to the doctor. Very often we have this, right? Doctors want a photo of the leg or of the hand to know how the patient is doing, and you've got to do this very, very fast. So that's an additional work. Mobile health devices, billing, discharge. Billing and discharge, I think, have been in force since 30 years, because I know that when I was a nurse at Breach Candy, we were using digital techniques in order to facilitate billing, discharge, etc. The last one here, which I've put here, in addition to that, you also need to answer your own phone. Okay, so somebody put in the chat box, why are nurses not allowed to use their phone in the hospital? If you're not allowed to use the phone, that can also be a stressor, because we are wondering what's happening at our home place or with an aged parent and so on. But answering your own phone, the moment you come off duty and you start checking your messages, all right, there is a lot of that also could be of a digital function which adds on to the nursing stress that we already face. You'll want to add anything more? I think a lot has been spoken about digital functions, the apps that are used, and so on. Let's call these stressors as techno stressors. the stressors that we face because of digitalization. Many websites, which I'll share with you at the end, call them techno stressors. We moved from when I passed out as a staff nurse in 92, we were bracing with HIV. We were trying to understand that a disease called HIV. 30 years later, we are trying to understand COVID. So we moved from the disease stressors to the technology stressors. Okay, so that's the movement that we've done. Not to say that diseases don't cause us stress, but we know more about them than about gadgets because we've been trained to understand disease better. Okay, so just to understand that as much as technology can hurt us, and I think all the speakers have been that technology also helps us. But there are some stressors, and let's understand them. Some of us may lack tech skills. We may not have the ability to even join a Zoom meeting, or we may not even know how to use particular gadgets which are in the hospital, primarily because our training did not allow for it. Lack of support from IT personnel. A lot of you will agree with me that when something is not working, that's the only time we can't get the IT personnel on the phone. And that's what frustrates us a lot. Sometimes we don't trust the digital system. Some old-time doctors may say, no, I don't want you to use this BP machine to check machine. You have to use a manual sphygmomanometer because I don't trust the digital system. And so that is an additional work for you because you are trying to create trust in a doctor who is not trusting the digital systems, or maybe senior nurses as well. Too many gadgets to use and to maintain, unfortunately, right? But that's how it is. The gadget may not even work to the optimum when we need it. And that can also be another stressor. If the gadget is running on hospital Wi-Fi and it's not working, there's another problem there. Frequent upgrades in technology, I think that was spoken about in the last two sessions, that every time we get used to it. I still remember while I was working at Breach Candy Hospital, they had come up with this whole billing exercise where we were all trained and we were given codes for gloves, for sutures. I was an operation theater nurse. So for each thing we had a code. And just when we got used to all those codes, they decided to change all the codes. Okay, so changing of codes, changing of upgrading technology, and now I have to use it a different way. All of this can cause techno stress within us. Coming to more points regarding the techno stressors is patients' digital concerns and skills. If you're handing over something to the patient to use digitally, and if they don't know how to use it, that can become a stressor for you. They might even pour water over it, damage it, and that's the end, that you are answerable for it. Data and privacy concerns. Very recently, about maybe 4 months back, a hospital in Bangalore, many of you may have heard of NIMANS, which is a central government hospital for mental health. They had a huge cyber hack which happened, and their servers were all down, and they were all worried whether the data and privacy of these patients who come there, especially for mental health, we want to maintain privacy. So there was a huge concern about that. So there are still engineers working in this field to create foolproof systems, but till then, we are always going to worry about data and privacy. Ethical and legal concerns. Ma'am spoke about a nurse being pulled up even though the machine had dispensed the medicine. So we are always wondering, am I going to be caught for something the machine has done and it's going to be blamed on me? Competency at all levels is the next point here. How much of competency do all of us have when we shift from ward to ward to handle the different gadgets? How much of in orientation are we giving our nurses to have the required competency of all the gadgets available in a particular ward? Lack of actual patient care and communication. And this is something that is a big concern for us who talk to patients, because they say now the sisters seem to be disconnected, and they have to be. But some of us as nurses are worried that I haven't spoken to my patient all day because I'm busy doing some kind of electronic charting, electronic monitoring, and I haven't really gone and spoken to my patient at all. And that can be a stress for some of us, because one of the first things that we learn in fundamentals of nursing is communication with the patient. use of a hybrid model, I think that's an overlap with this particular point, that sometimes we have to use gadgets as well as we have to use our old-fashioned methods in order to arrive at the patient's diagnosis simply because of doubts within the team regarding the digital use. Already the first speaker spoke about Dr. Google. Patients come and tell us, but Google says that this should not be done to me now. And you wonder why on earth is this patient looking at Google when they are in a full-fledged hospital treating them well. All right. Any other techno stressors that you all think should be added over here? Any of you? Anybody? Okay, let me move on. I'm aware that we are all running for time. This was taken by the first speaker. I'm going to speak about this from a mental health perspective, signs of eustress and distress. Okay, so eustress is good stress. It's the beneficial stress. It makes our body function. And it's usually short term with a clear solution or a way out of the situation. So this is all about now how do we embrace eustress is the topic. And so if we embrace it, which is in my next slide, how to do it, then we will find it more, we will find the challenge, good challenge. Okay, every situation is challenging for a nurse. We don't know what kind of a patient to expect next. But if we embrace it, then it becomes manageable. If we say, I'm learning something out of it, or I'm going to enjoy this challenge, then we are going to be able to manage it better. And remember, somebody spoke about the aha moment. If we use those aha moments and say, okay, I have got this insight today by using this gadget, and then I create eustress in my body by just saying it and minimizing the overwhelming feeling that distress can cause. Emotions. We may feel frustrated. Now, they have planned this whole seminar through an online platform. I am sure that there was a lot of discussion, a lot of difficulty, a lot of emotions they went through. But at the end of this seminar, I'm sure everyone's going to have fulfillment or happiness. Similarly, when we go through using a new device in the hospital, there may be some initial frustration or worry. But as soon as we get it, we are also going to feel happy. Oh, I learned to do this today. I learned to manage this gadget today. That's how the take-home message is. Then it will be eustress. But if I feel, no, I'm going to panic, I'm not going to be able to do this, then I'm likely to take a day off. I'm likely going to avoid the situation. And that's distress. Okay. Self-efficacy is our self-confidence or our capability or how much we believe that we are able to do it. Let's go into the ward every day believing that we are going to learn something new and build on our confidence. Otherwise, we are going to be very distressed if we are going to perceive that, no, I can't do this. This is not meant for me. I'm going to quit. I'm going to resign. A lot of us went online during COVID time for teaching, for my counseling work and so on. And initially, the struggle was that maybe I won't be as effective as I was in face-to-face time. But if we overcome all these, then what we will face is good stress. Lastly is physical well-being. Eustress is less likely to affect our physical health. In fact, eustress helps to improve it. Just like distress takes a toll on our body, eustress actually improves our physical well-being. Okay, so it's good stress that we should take it on heads on, take on this work heads on, and be able to manage it in a good, better way. Let's look at now how do we embrace eustress, or how do we become digitally resilient. Resilience means I'm able to take on any work that is given to me, including the digital work that has been assigned to me over the next few months or next few years when I work, because everything gets upgraded on and off. So let's change distress into eustress by using some of these techniques. Already speakers have spoken, but I've just put it over here in terms of certain points. The first thing is to develop a problem-solving approach. I am put in charge of this patient and now I need to manage this ventilator, which I've never seen before. Okay, and I need to see that the patient is well monitored. It's a problem that I'm facing. let me take on a problem solving approach. That means let me find a solution. Either I take help of somebody or I ask to be assigned to another patient till I learn about that gadget. But instead of standing there and facing distress, we must face a problem solving approach. And I think all us nurses know a problem solving approach because every patient who comes to us has their own list of problems and we are trying to resolve them. Understand the second point here is understand the importance and usefulness of technology. We believe that technology reduces errors, and that is the reason why it's being introduced in the medical field. So once we try to understand how useful it is and not say, you people are tech savvy, don't want you all over here, we prefer our old-fashioned methods, that won't work because we have to embrace it in order to have less stress at the workplace. Learn new tech skills. There are a lot of free courses available online. And once you learn something, teach others around you. That's a growth mindset. If I learn something and teach somebody else, it's a growth mindset. And it's even for the learner to learn new things, to take the help from anyone who is around them. That's also a way to problem solve. Take help. I've already spoken about that. Take help from within your department, outside your department, but avoid saying, I can't do it. This is not for me. Learn about the various software and possible glitches, that there are going to be something that's possibly going to go wrong with this. And if something goes wrong, what do I do? We know when a ventilator doesn't work, we know how to connect the patient to an ambu bag. We know what to do. Okay, so just similarly, we need to be proactive and learn from everyone. Okay, can this go on? Can something happen? What should I do if something happens? Get patients on board about the treatment. If you're using something digitally with the patient or on a patient, get them to understand it. Okay, so that they won't destroy the equipment or they will also not interfere with the functioning of those particular things that you're using. Work out policies. Somebody spoke about ethical policies, whether the management is going to support us. So find out what are the policies if an error is, if something goes wrong with the equipment, or if, like somebody spoke about, wrong medicine being given through the dispensation. What are my rights? What are the policies of the hospital? And so work it out with your in charge or the management. It's very important to have policies in place. We find policies in schools, in hospitals, in workplaces, reduce stress. And that's why I'm bringing it out over here. Manage your unofficial screen time. If you are using a lot of screen time outside your workplace, watching too much of Netflix or too much of TikTok or too much of social media, then when you come back to work the next day, if you're bringing in new stress into the workplace. Okay, so some amount of digital detox during your free time is also important. The last point here is keep a check on your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors surrounding digital skills. I'm going to talk more about that in the next 2 slides, because this is very important for you to keep a check on your own mental health. There is a quote over here that there is no stress in the world, only people thinking stressful thoughts. And this was given by Wayne Dyer. He is no more. He was a famous author. He used to write a lot of self-help and motivational books. And this is his quote. I repeat, there is no stress in the world, only people thinking stressful thoughts. And for that, I'm going to take you through an example. This is an example of having a thought. Let's say I have a thought that I am a failure. My feelings are going to be sadness. My feelings are going to be sadness, anger, disappointment, jealousy of others who have cleared the exam or able to use the digital equipment. There are going to be a whole lot of feelings, and my behavior could be to quit the course, to quit this job. And what will happen? My thought is going to continue to be, I am a failure. However, the same thought, I am a failure, will bring about the same feelings. But if I try to learn that again, then I am diminishing the original thought of I am a failure, because now I have succeeded, I have learned it. Let me give you another example. Let's say I have a thought, I can't learn this new technology, or this new technology is not my cup of tea. Okay, it's going to lead to frustration, anger, and anxiety. That's the distress that we are trying to eliminate through this workshop. And then I avoid it, I avoid learning it, and I quit. Is this thought going to go away? It's a question for all of you. If I have a thought, I can't learn this new technology and I avoid learning it or I quit, will this thought go away?
No, ma'am.
It won't. All right. So how do I change the thought?
By adapting it to the specific situation that we are going through.
Okay. I can change my thought by changing my behavior. Instead, I can try learning that new technology. If I learn that new technology, my new thought is going to be, I can learn this. And I'm going to have these negative emotions are going to go away. I'm going to be a happier person. I'm going to be more motivated to learn. So what I'm trying to tell all of you here is that this can be applied to, this thought triangle can be applied to any part of your life. If anyone comes to me through counseling, this is what I teach them. Our thoughts and our behaviors is what brings about the feelings of distress or eustress. If I change my thoughts or I change my behavior, my feelings are going to be more positive. Have you all understood? Should I repeat it? Okay, I'm just going through the chat.
Clear, it's clear.
It's clear? All right. So changing our thoughts about the digital equipment, changing our behavior towards them is automatically going to bring about eustress. This is the most important technique about changing any stressful situation to eustress. Okay, so you can apply this anywhere. I'm taking it in for example in terms of digitalization. Okay, so from my end, this is my way of telling you how to embrace eustress in the hospital situation. These are my references, which are on the next slide. Okay, all these references will help you to understand how you can upgrade yourself and how you can eliminate distress and embrace eustress. Okay, any questions? I can take questions if you all have time. Otherwise, I have finished my part.
Thank you, madam. In order to address the global challenges that face health system and society, nursing must start immediately transferring into digital connected profession. And how to cope up with the stress of digital usage with the right mix of competence and confidence. Thank you, ma'am, for doing activity with us.
Any
Dear
questions?
delegates,
No
since the
questions.
forum is open now for discussion, you are able to post questions or ask them in chat box. No questions, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. So all the best to all of you. And I'm sure you're going to take us as a developing nation to greater heights in terms of digital nursing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Valedictory section. In association with International E-Conference, we have also organized an e-poster competition on the theme Digitech Nurse on Board, Eustress or Distress. We have received e-poster from various esteemed colleges and hospitals in India. We congratulate all the participants for participating and making the e-poster contest a big success. The most awaited day of the contest, the announcement of prize winner, has come. The first prize is backed by Mrs. Pooja Nair, PD Hinduja College of Nursing, Associate Professor. Congratulations, ma'am. The second prize is secured by Mrs. Malini Kadam, Nurse B, MTC, Navi Mumbai. Congratulate, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Here, I would like to call upon Mrs. Priya, the organizing secretary, for vote of thanks.
क्या दे रही है? Vote of thanks.
Once a great man whispered, feeling thankfulness and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Once again, a very good afternoon to one all present over here. So before going into vote of thanks, I'm sure today through all these speakers and all these sessions, one thing is very clear, that as nurses, we have to remain open-minded and we have to establish required learning infrastructure and system. Then we can say that there is no limit to how far digital technology may progress healthcare as well as our profession. So now I would like to start expressing my sincere thankfulness to Lord God, whose mercies made it possible for us all to be the part of this online conference. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our distinguished speakers on behalf of Holy Spirit Institute of Nursing Education for their love for their profession, which inspired them to do so. I'm grateful to each one of you. You have given us so many ideas. We were impressed by your expert knowledge and motivated by your assurance towards stress-free services and learning. This contributed to the success and longevity of this global e-conference. I would also want to extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. Sister Lalitha Rasali, Principal of HSINE, for having the idea and inspiring the teachers and students to use virtual learning platform. To make the International e-conference a success, we worked extremely hard and received a ton of assistance. You, all my dear admirable delegates, have my sincere gratitude for your enthusiasm for updates, your presence, and your contribution to make this online conference a successful one. I must thank the organizing team for all their efforts over the past several months to make this e-conference a booming one. No competition, no progress. I congratulate the judges of e-poster competition and all the winners as well as the participants for their active participation. Thank you everyone once again for making this event great. I'm hoping to see the next generation of healthcare making digital revolution easy, employee-friendly, and patient-friendly. Now I have a request for you all. All delegates are kindly requested to please fill the feedback form link so that we can generate e-certificates accordingly. And also, we would like to request you to turn on your cameras because we want to save these memorable moments. So kindly delegates and all the speakers, please turn on your cameras. Can I get a good smile of all of you?
Yeah.
Thank you all. Have a nice day.
From a personal note, thank you so much to Dr. Vitu, Madam
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Vangi, Ma'am Jennifer, and Ma'am Bobby for taking your time for us. I know this was a forum of an international asset. So thank you so much for everything that you have done for Holy Spirit and that you continue doing for nursing fraternity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you.